I have lived with what I now know is vasospastic angina for about 8 years, but that wasn't my initial diagnosis. I used to be very, very fit. I was a midwife, and I actually ended up practicing as retired from being a midwife after 30 years of practice because of this condition. I was being told that nobody believed me. I was being told that I didn't have angina, and I would say, yes, I have. I've got some really, really severe symptoms. I've got pain. This feels like labour. And I would say, you know what? I feel as though I'm in labour, but I'm not getting a baby at the end of it. And they would say, oh, objectively, the tests are saying you've got clear coronary arteries. You cannot possibly have cardiac chest pain. I had a cardiologist who switched on enough to listen and come up with my diagnosis without the tests, and he was not quite right, but he was pretty much right, and that was 8 years ago. The only problem was none of his colleagues agreed with him until I had my diagnostic testing. And this attitude that, oh, there's no diagnosis, what's the point of getting a diagnosis, we can't treat it, it flies against the ethos of what medicine is about. These conditions, pain has a profound negative impact on the quality of my life. When I got my diagnosis, I felt validated, vindicated, relieved. I thought, oh, right, because I lost my sense of self. It was been told that repeatedly that I couldn't have angina, that it was in my head. It was like gaslighting. Even with my angiogram results with acetylcholine, which demonstrates, there is something going on with my blood vessels, I have shown that to some cardiologists, but they're so wedded to the idea that only obstructions can cause angina that I feel as though I'm asking them to believe in unicorns in fairyland and accept my diagnosis. Listen to your patients. Open your minds and look beyond the blockages. We now have the diagnostic techniques. It is important to find the diagnosis because for me, even though I have a refractory form of angina, it's part of my way of managing my condition because I am believed that my pain is real and I am worthy of treatment, and every single patient with this condition is worthy of the attention of an experienced and skilled cardiologist to help us and to help me live as well as I possibly can with this condition. The research is there, the evidence has been shown, all the new tests that have been developed, which to me is so exciting because I've had quite a journey to get my diagnosis, is showing that, this isn't in my head. This is real pain and there's a real cause for it, and hopefully, there will be some better treatments coming along. We desperately need the NICE guidelines. I mean, the stuff is coming out of the European Society of Cardiology about management of the condition. I mean, it has moved so far from when I first started this journey. So, it is getting better. And I think it's a really fascinating part of science. And I think it's sort of made them think, oh, this is quite interesting. I then volunteered for the British Heart Foundation. And I was appointed one of the first lay members of the Clinical Studies Committee. And then I approached them and I asked them to adopt the term microvascular angina and vasospastic angina, which they have done. And if you go on the website, you'll see some information about the two conditions, and I was the expert patient advisor to that information. And now I'm a research champion, and I work with other clinicians to try and influence and get more research and more understanding of this condition. I don't want any other patient to go through my patient journey.